Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And today we are talking about Sister Wives, Season 18, Episode 13, The Elephant in the Room. So, boy.
So who is the elephant?
I don't know.
What is the elephant?
That's a good question.
So many people could be the elephant in the room. And this got me thinking, like all of the episode titles this season have been, these cryptic, they're trolling somebody. I think they're trolling several people because, last week it was like, can't see the forest for the trees. And then airing
that was about Meri
laundry.
And the trees coming down,
yeah.
right? And how
the writing is on
trees down.
Yeah, the writing is on the wall, throwing in the towel. I don't know, just all of this stuff. They're trolling somebody or multiple people probably every week, but I just think it's funny. Yeah. What is the elephant in the room?
I don't know. But that's a very good question.
That Kody and Robyn are delusional.
I don't know. I mean, that is a really good question. I'd have to go back and look at all the other titles. I don't know.
Well, they're all very, thought-provoking.
Yes.
But
yes. Sister Wives is very thought-provoking.
Well,
as always.
If you really look at it. But yeah, so, this episode starts out with like the most awkward gender reveal ever. And also, when are people going to stop doing gender reveals?
Gosh.
Gender is a
gender
construct.
Reveals.
I know. It's like, you got to be careful.
Quick. So they're in Lehigh. So Mykelti lives in Lehigh? I thought she lived in Salt Lake City. I'm so confused.
I think Christine lives in Salt Lake City.
She lives there, but I thought Mykelti also lives in Salt Lake City.
Lehigh, which I believe is only like 20 minutes away.
Oh, okay. So Lehigh is that close to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that St. George that's like 4 or 5 hours away. Okay. Got it. I get those
Robyn
two places.
Was living.
Yes.
I
get those two places mixed up, and I'm always like, oh, okay. Got it. Yes, I agree with you. These gender reveals are out of hand. I'm truly sick of them. Though I was on Instagram the other day and I saw one where these two different guys, they dressed up in as different sumo wrestlers. One sumo wrestler was blue, one sumo wrestler was pink. But again, we're gendering
we're
people.
Still in the binary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they wrestled. I guess they knew what the gender was. And they did this whole wrestling match. And then whomever won the match, that was the gender. So at first, the boy looked like, ooh, he was going to win. But at the last minute, the girl won. And it was a girl. I was like, okay, that's pretty. I mean, hey, kept me for the whole video. kept me intrigued. Yes, it did. I thought that was pretty clever, but I'm sorry. I'm amazed that these things still happen, especially after that couple. This happened, I believe, can't remember what state it was, where the couple like burned down.
It was California.
It was California, right?
Yes. They started a major fire. Yes.
Yes. After that, I thought people are never going to do this anymore. And yet people keep going with this, keep doing it, keep going. I mean,
it's also exhausting. Just like, you know what? Yeah. Who gives a shit? Like, if you, I mean, know,
really, there's only going to be two things. Right? Like it's either a boy or a girl.
Well, and also knowing what we know now and what we're learning.
Yes.
Like I said, gender is a social construct. There are two sexes, male and female. There are many genders, many different genders. You don't know what the gender of this person is going to be until much later in life. Anyway, yes. I don't want to get political. People write us nasty emails or anything like that. I am supportive of all these communities. I'm supportive of anyone doing anything they want with their lives. I don't care. But anyway, Kody and Robyn are visibly uncomfortable and struggling. To even
and Christine
smile.
Is concerned too. Yes. Well, hold on. Mm-hmm. This was the best line, and I wrote this down. Robyn says, I'm hoping that they see our smiles. Our smiles will show them that I'm not. She says, the sentence is, I'm hoping they will see our smiles and to show them that I'm not the bad guy. She started with like a we are, and then it became smiles. I'm not the bad guy. So first off, I think that's very interesting that she started off as a we and then it became I bad guy. So, and then the other thing was, I'm thinking to myself, Robyn, we haven't seen you smile in a decade.
No.
You never smile. Even at the end, you kind of sort of smiled. You barely smiled at the end.
At the end, she smiled. It's like saying goodbye to Avalon because Avalon's the only person who likes them. And yeah, Robyn has a permanent scowl on her face. She has a permanent frown, scowl, whatever you want to call it. She's the most dour person. And, Kody is not much better. And, for Robyn and all of her complaining about how, oh, my children, they feel so left out and, they don't even know who their siblings are. Well, why weren't your children on the friggin' Zoom call?
Yeah, that was interesting too.
Even Gabe showed up. You know what I mean? Like these people showed up just to, who cares? You're on a Zoom. You don't have to look at anyone. You don't have to have any contact or talk to anyone. It's the easiest way to show up and say, okay, I give a shit. Why weren't her kids on the Zoom?
Yeah. Well, and then we get this confessional with Aurora saying, I just wanted to speak up on behalf of my mom and all the effort she's made. She's the biggest cheerleader of healthy correspondence between Kody and the wives and the children. I'm sorry, but Aurora is not smart enough to come up with healthy correspondence.
No, that was a memorized speech.
Healthy correspondence. What language is that? And no one even writes healthy correspondence any longer. I'm like, you didn't come up with those words.
People under the age of 50 don't use the word correspondence. I mean, Robyn wrote that for her. She memorized it. She delivered it. She brought the emotion. And Brianna was sitting there next to her, looking like she was going to burst out in tears. This was a carefully practiced and choreographed speech. The whole thing, it was sickening. Robyn is just, she's crazy. And she's putting this crazy onto her children. Poor kids.
Yes. But yeah, they did look visibly anxious. I mean, Kody at one point, like, he was just like looking up at his phone, looking down at his phone. And like, yeah, just, oof, boy, that was, and Janelle said it. Janelle said he doesn't even see any of these people. He doesn't even, you know, and that's weird.
Here's who showed up. So we have Janelle and Savannah. Then we have Tony, Mykelti, and Truly and Christine. They were clearly all in the same place. And at the end, Truly and Christine came out. They must have been on computers inside. And then they came out and we saw both of them outside. We saw Maddie, but no Caleb, which I thought was interesting. And he was there. She was talking to him. Well, because Caleb and Kody used to be BFFs. Remember?
Oh, okay.
I don't think that Caleb's too fond of him anymore. And he was there off to the side. She was talking to him. Even Gwen showed up. And Isabel. And then Logan, Michelle, and Aspen were all together. And then we had Gabe and Hunter. And I don't know if Logan and Hunter's on speaking terms with Kody. But we know Maddie's not. Because she just came out with... Oh, she was on a podcast this week.
I heard about that. Yeah,
she basically said
broken and busted or something and something.
Yeah,
yeah.
She basically said she didn't have a relationship with him. Her kids don't have a relationship with him. They don't know who he is. They wouldn't recognize him if they saw him. I thought it was really interesting at the very, very end. Her daughter Evie came on to the screen. And Evie said, "Oh, there's my cousin, Avalon." So Evie recognizes Avalon. She knows who that is. Didn't say anything about Kody. Kody didn't say anything to her. Her kids don't even know him. Because remember, around the same time this was before COVID, I think. But her daughter Evie had to have a surgery. Kody didn't go out there for the surgery. I think that was sort of the first thing that, the first disappointment.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was very awkward.
Yes.
Very, 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 very awkward.
Yes. Well, they do the gender reveal and it is revealed it's 2 boys. Woohoo! How exciting. And and so we learn that this I thought was very interesting. Kody says, "I started the video call with paranoia with anxiety over the contempt that has been thrown in my direction. I love this. This is what I love. This is Kody." And Janelle's sitting there. She goes, "I don't mind seeing Kody and Robyn together." Like, this is her perception. She's like, it's fine seeing them together. And Cody's using these words like paranoia, anxiety, contempt.
I know.
He is so dramatic. A victim.
He's such a
Do you know what I mean? That's like their victim words. I am such a victim. So much contempt has been thrown my way. I am so paranoid. I am so anxious. I am so worried.
Mistreated.
I am so awful. And here you have 2 of your 4 wives are watching you with this other woman. And they're both like, okay, that's good to see you.
Yeah, you can have them.
Yeah. Like, just kind of like, fine. We've accepted it. Fine. We're not going to be a victim to you. Like, fine. And yet he is acting like he's the victim.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah. And also, Meri is not there. And
yes. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing, because Mykelti has said that Meri will have no part of her or her children's lives. She said that on her Patreon, which I think, okay. But, Mykelti's the one who she keeps doing all these things in the interest of, trying to mend fences and keeping the family together and, still trying to maintain some semblance of family. But not for Meri. She makes up her own rules. So Mykelti is not like the benevolent, saint that she tries to make herself out to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting. But before we get to the Meri thing, real quick, So Kody also says, me and Robyn, which Robyn and I, that's the grammar, have a good relationship with Mykelti and Tony. And then he gets into this whole thing about the kids and why the kids are angry. And he's like, Robyn and I were like this, and he shows us with his hands mushed together. Mm-hmm. And they want their dad, but they don't want Robyn. And that's not going to work. And I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
I was thinking about this because
statement.
We have a similar situation where, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, okay, so what do you do if you are a parent and your children want to have a relationship with you, but they do not like the person that you're married to?
You can still
what do you do?
You can still have a relationship with your child. Mm-hmm. What happens is these men think that once they have a new wife, that new wife has to go everywhere with them, do everything with them, be part of every, part of their life. And that's just not true. You can compartmentalize. And I know that sometimes is like a negative term, but you can compartmentalize parts of your life. Mm-hmm. You can say, okay, I have a relationship with my children and I do this with them and I see them, and my wife does not have to be there. Why does Robyn want to be there? Why do step parents want to be there when they know that it's uncomfortable or whatever? Why not just stay home? Why do they have to be a part of everything? Why can't Robyn just say, you know what, Kody, these are your kids. Go off, do what you need to do with them. I'm here. I'm fine. But is it just like total insecurity?
I don't know. I have my own theory about Robyn, and this kind of comes out at it's a theory that I have about her role in all of this, and it's more about comes out towards the end. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the insecurity. I don't know if it's this vision of what you think a family should be. I think people get very caught up in we're a family and families do everything together. And I love this person and therefore you should love this person. If I love them, they're a part of me. And if you're rejecting them, you're rejecting a part of me, and, so on and so forth. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not really.
No.
Not exactly.
Not at all.
And not everybody has to get along with each other. Not everybody not everyone's going to like each other. And I think the thing is that in our lives, we are going to be in various situations where we're going to have to deal with people we don't particularly like in many different ways. But there are lots of situations in our lives where we have a choice, and family is kind of one of them, where once you become an adult, you start to have choices. And that is one of the things about being an adult that's nice. Listen, it sucks to have to pay your own bills and get up in the morning and go to work. But the flip side of that is you get to decide who you spend time with and who you don't spend time with. And I think that that's one of those pieces. I mean, listen, you cannot always choose your bosses. You can't always choose your coworkers, right? You can't choose your neighbors. You can't choose all of these things.
You can't choose your family,
Yeah. But
you're born.
But you can't, yes, you can't choose that part of it. But once you become an adult, you can choose how much time and in what situations you're going to spend time with people. You can.
And also, he's so black and white, so absolute. Like the whole his whole statement, he says they want their dad, but they don't want Robyn, and that's not going to work. Robyn and I are going to be together, and that's how it is. Well, that's not true. It's not that they don't want Robyn. It's just that they just want to have time with their dad without there being all these conditions on it and all of these, all these things that they have to accept, or like it's got to be their way, or it's not that they don't. I don't think any of these people, these adult children, hate Robyn.
No,
they just want to be able to have a relationship with their dad without a bunch of extraneous bullshit. And that's the thing, when you, like you just said, when you become an adult, you have the right to say, you know what? I don't want the extraneous bullshit. I just want to see you, get together, talk with you. I don't want these conditions placed on coming to your house for Christmas, or I have to apologize to her before I'm allowed to be in your house. Like all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's just unnecessary. Just have a relationship with them that's independent. They're adults,
Yeah. Well, but, and the thing is treat me like an adult, because if this was your friend, if this was Brian from Oklahoma, most likely you would not expect him to apologize to Robyn before you hang out again. I mean, come on. Like, but you're expecting your kids to. Like, you're holding us to a different standard that you're holding other people to. And that's not particularly fair. So, yeah. And I don't know. And I also wonder, I don't know if they necessarily even want to hang out with you, Kody. I think they want maybe the old version of you, but they don't like this version of you. This version of you, Kody 2.0, nobody wants this.
Yeah, the angry version.
So the best is that then the next scene is Parowan. And I think to myself, nobody invited Meri to this. And then my next thought, and then I was like,
what about Meri?
I was like, what about Meri? And then it was like, that's right. Mykelti hates Meri. I was like, okay, this is why. And Christine very diplomatically tells us that, that Meri will not have that Mykelti does not want Meri in her life. So it's like, okay, got it. And I really would love to know what that's all about. Like, has Mykelti said exactly what Meri did? I mean, I know Meri was rough and she yelled and Meri was tough.
Rough. I don't know. There was that one scene they always play over and over again where Mykelti was wearing a perfectly fine shirt and Meri just humiliated her and told her she needed to go change and that she never wanted to see that much of her body ever again. And I'm sure that was not the first or last time she treated her that way. And Christine said that, that Mykelti acted out with modesty, which of course is not acting out. But I just think Mykelti was picked on by a lot of the family. And I think Meri was, one of them. And Meri's probably the most expendable. You know what I mean? Like, that's someone she can place the blame on. But anyway, poor Meri, she's back to filming herself on her iPhone up in Parowan. She's not included in this phone call. And, overall, this episode was actually I think this episode was about 95% new content.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It was a lot, but we did have a little bit of a flashback where Meri went back to talking about her anniversary date and how sad it was.
Oh, God.
Yes. Talking back about the marriage, and it was supposed to be for an eternity. But she realizes Kody broke the covenant. And it's like, oh, God, how many more episodes do we have to go through this with Meri?
Oh, I know. I just wrote down on my notes. Yes, Meri, he has broken the covenant. He has.
It's broken.
It's done. He made the choice. He made the choice. You have to accept it and move forward with your life. And finally she just says, eternally bound to someone who doesn't want me. It's a lot to consider. It's like, there's nothing to consider. What are you considering? You have to accept it. That's it.
He broke the covenant. They're not going to be together for eternity. I don't know who Meri's going to be with for eternity, but it's not going to be with Kody.
Yeah.
And she has to accept that and move on. There's nothing she can do about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Every week we have to go through this.
Yeah, I could not believe that we were rehashing. I'm like, oh, you got us. I mean, please, Puddle Monkey editors, please. Nobody is waking up and saying, maybe I'll start Sister Wives. I think I'll start at season 18, episode 13. And no, people know what's going on.
We got it.
Stop there. Yes. Let's catch up. So we're back in Salt Lake City, and Isabel has to go back home, it's North Carolina, right? Not South,
right?
North, right?
North Carolina, where Maddie lives.
So it's now we've now jumped a lot. We must be now at the end of summer. We're now in this episode, August, end of summer, beginning of fall.
August 2022.
Because they mentioned back to school. Yeah.
Yeah. She's going back to school.
And they're having surf and turf. And they're all just obviously no one's there because it's all it's all like iPhone camera footage. And, it's the same. They're having the same conversation they always have. Tony is bugging Christine about, are you dating? Are you this? Are you that? Are you? Yes. And Christine is just mortified. She's like, I've only kissed Kody. I don't have any experience.
And both Tony and Mykelti, they say something along the lines of, well, yeah, you're just getting back in touch with your body. Yeah, Christine is mortified.
Yes.
In her confessional, she's like, oh my God, this is so awkward. Like, please make this stop.
Well, no. So
cringy.
Tony says, it takes practice. And Mykelti says, get acquainted with your body. So can you imagine those two? I mean, really?
No. I mean, what are they going to get her, a vibrator for Christmas? I mean, like,
I honestly wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past either of them. It is, it's just, but the idea of Tony getting acquainted with anyone's body, it's just, blah.
No, this is such an inappropriate conversation to be having with your mother-in-law. Tony has no boundaries. He's just so cringy. And now let's think about the timeline here. Okay, so if this is like late August, September-ish, Christine and David Woolley met in October.
Oh, they did. Okay, because I was wondering, because I actually paused the show, went on Instagram and went on her feed and scrolled back because I was like, haven't they met yet by now? And I realized they went Instagram official on Valentine's Day this year. I didn't realize that. So, they started dating
in April.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it was all boom, boom. It was all very quick. So they started so they started dating in October. So this is August-ish, September. So this was, but he was a family friend. She never went online.
No, she met him on a dating app. She met him on an app.
So she did meet him on a dating app. Yeah. So I wonder if she's already on the apps and just like, I'm not telling Tony shit.
No, because Tony will go and blab it to everybody. Mm-hmm. She's not stupid. She's not going to tell him.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. No, she's on the app. She's just like, oh, shut the fuck up, Tony. And she says, she just wants to forget about the past and move on.
Yes. Oh, God. And then, that's true. Like every date she goes on, Tony's going to be asking her questions and, yeah. I don't blame her.
Let's keep Tony out of the mix. Give him as little information as possible.
But can you imagine? Oh my God. Can you imagine? I cannot. Oh God, there's got to be a system. He does. Oh, wait. David's going to show up in this season. Do you think we're going to have more
That's what I started thinking.
Of Tony asking the two of them about like, have you kissed? Have you done it?
Oh my God.
Have you been acquainting each other with each other's bodies?
Oh, well, yeah, God. Because if we still have a couple more months left in this season, we're coming right up on it. She's going to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is so good.
She's going to be meeting. We might see him at the end of this season.
Oh, this is very exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Then
so next is the big road trip. On the road.
Going to Christine's brother's house. And they have some interesting talk in the car.
Yes.
Well, this is what I found really interesting was that, they started talking about this whole thing about having to get permission from the church and if this is really a real thing. And if you're not part of the church, then who cares? Because basically Janelle says, yeah, I'm done with Kody.
Mm-hmm. Well, Christine starts this off, and I don't know if the producers made her start this or not, but it was the whole thing about if Christine was supposed to get approval or permission from the church to leave Kody. And that was Robyn's comment. So they have this whole discussion about getting permission to leave. And since Christine isn't part of the church, she was like, I don't have anyone, there's no one to give me permission.
You don't need permission. You've left the church. You're no longer under. Yeah. And Christine should know her grandfather started this friggin' church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Janelle says that Kody hasn't been at her house. So I assume that means like spent the night.
Spend the night. Yeah.
Spent the night for 10 months. So that means if we're now in August, then that means that was like
before Christmas.
They had the big fight at Christmas. Mm-hmm. So that means that he had spent the night somewhere like in November. Is that right?
Well, November? We don't know what month this is now. I mean, it's in if it's in chronological order, I guess it could be August or September, but we don't know when this road trip was.
This road trip could be any time. That's true.
But look, clearly since that fight in December, he hasn't spent the night.
Oh yeah, that much we know.
So, and I doubt and before that, she was in the RV. I doubt Kody ever spent a night in the RV. I doubt he ever even spent a night in that smaller apartment. I mean,
oh no, I don't know if he ever spent a night in that smaller apartment. I think he spent a few nights in the RV. I think he did. Yeah, I think Kody. Yeah, but I think Kody. I don't know. I think Cody's got a real itch for Janelle. I think he really likes Janelle. And I think they've got a real connection. And I think he was willing to deal with it for her. I do.
Well, we now know it's been it's over. It's been 10 months. And she's basically telling, although she still is waffling a little bit about, she still has one foot like in this polygamous thing, but it's not real strong. I think she's just doing it for the TV.
Well, is she doing it for the TV? Or I think before I thought she was waffling because of the religious part of it, because she felt very strongly about the religious aspect of it, that this covenant, she really felt like, oh my God, is something bad going to happen to me? Or am I, disappointing God, or whatever the belief is, or whatever the feeling is, if I leave this marriage. But now I'm thinking that it's maybe more of the money piece. Yes. I'm thinking that she's very scared to leave the fold, or really to make some big announcement, or to do it on that level because of money at this point.
And she says that later on in the episode when they're talking with Christine's brothers. But Kody says his life has changed. He also confirms it's been 10 months since he's been to Janelle's house.
Yes, that's one thing they could agree on.
They can agree they haven't had sex in 10 months. And he says he doesn't know what's going on with Meri's life. And he says, now Robyn and I, we just have all this time together to have this special life together.
Yeah, very special.
I think he's moved on too.
Yeah. Well, you know who's in town? Brian. And then I thought he told us about how he married his sweetheart, Judith. And I was like, I was waiting for a flashback to the wedding and to Kody dancing. And I was like, God damn it. The one time I wanted a flashback, I didn't get it.
That would have just perked me right up.
Yes. I wanted to see Kody dancing. Kody dancing's my favorite thing. But then now I thought Brian and Kody sold guns together, but I guess they don't do that. Am I wrong?
Well, I read online that, okay, basically neither one of them are licensed gun dealers. Okay. And now I'm going to preface this by saying I'm probably getting a lot of this wrong. This is just things I have like gleaned from basically TikToks. Neither one of them are licensed to sell guns, but there's this kind of loophole exception where if you're selling gun accessories, you don't need to be licensed. Kody has never been licensed. Brian was licensed, but lost his license because of some stuff. It's all very shady.
What would prevent you from getting a license? Why can't Kody get a license? He hasn't been convicted of anything. Why couldn't he get a license?
I think because it would look bad. I think it would look bad for his
to have
image
in
the show. And Brian actually, he flipped and testified against some prior, partners of his, to stay out of jail for some gun violations or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they do that so much anymore.
Okay. Because then when Kody said, oh, Brian's got this car lot, I'm like, you know what? These people that are constantly changing businesses, like now they're doing this, now they're doing
he's
that.
A used car dealer.
Yeah. I'm always like, these are the people that if you meet someone and they've constantly got some new business or some new thing, run. They are so shady. I'm always very wary of those kinds of people.
Also, Kody said that he has sold Brian 3 vehicles.
Yeah,
so
that
does
also
Kody need money.
Yes, that's what I thought too. Because everyone is waxing poetic about this sports car, and Kody is selling him 3 cars. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Somebody needs money.
And that sports car is very special to Kody.
Yes.
So he would not be selling it if he did not really need the money.
Yeah. You know why? Because he lost one wife and that money is gone now.
Well, he's now lost 3 wives.
Well, now, but in the course of the show, he's still got Janelle and Meri. He basically said, F you. So, yeah, but he definitely lost Christine and whatever income she's bringing in. So what I'm wondering is for season 18, I wonder if Christine's like, yeah, you're writing the check to me.
Oh, of course. Oh, yes, absolutely.
So, but what I wonder is because technically when season 18 started, Meri and Janelle were still with Kody. If he got their money, right? Because Cody's always gotten Kody Entertainment or whatever it is, right? Has always, from my understanding, he has always been
There's
the
one check.
There's one check and it goes to him, Brown Entertainment, whatever. And then that he decided where that money went and how that was distributed. My assumption would be now that Christine is gone, her portion would be given to her and the rest of it was there. Now, if they got $100,000 an episode, 20 of that is to Christine.
But also, do you really think that Janelle, without an estate of her own, without her own home, is really depositing any of her earnings from her Plexus or whatever businesses she has into the family account? No. I'm sure she's withholding that. Because it was also their own, all of them in their own MLM monies, not just the show, And so Meri's not. If Meri is giving Kody a penny of her clothing business, as she calls it, I mean, that's just crazy. And same with Janelle.
No, I don't think they're
be
giving him. I don't think they're giving him any MLM money at all. No.
I hope not. God. Well, anyway, Cody's he's got there's an air of desperation. And so, Brian comes he's going to pick up the Lexus, I guess, and go sell it. But It's like a 20-something-year-old. It's a 2002.
Yeah.
It's probably got so many miles on it from driving back and forth to Robyn's house.
Oh, God. And God knows what is encrusted on those seats.
God.
Because Robyn's got some sweet memories. Because that's where she knew. They fell in love in that car. Yes.
Oh, you know they fucked in that car so many times because when he would go down to St. George and he'd bring his daughters to babysit.
Yes.
And then Robyn and Kody would go out on dates. They had to fuck in the car. They couldn't come back to her apartment and do it.
And they couldn't afford a hotel.
No,
they could not afford a hotel.
Broke.
He was not going to spring for that. Yes.
Oh, they were broke.
Yes. They would put that goddamn top down and go out into the middle of the woods and get it on. Please don't even tell me that did not happen.
Recline the front seats as far as they can go down, and you just make the best of it. Ask any teenager in America. It can be done. God.
Well, yeah. Okay. So this is Kody's quote about Brian coming to see him. This is it. When you're going through a hard experience, the presence of other men who respect and love you helps you endure that experience. What?
This is so very Brokeback Mountain.
So essentially, Kody just likes being around other men who respect and love him. And also hate on women at the same time
with him. To commiserate.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the manosphere. You always have another man around to make you feel better, however that happens. So, Robyn and Kody fell in love in the car. Robyn said she got her answer about Kody from God in the car. And a lot of fun stuff happened in the car. She just could not stop talking about the car.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we saw a smile on her face there.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen her smile in many years.
Yes. The car, the sports car. And also, Kody says, this is where it's the first time on camera he admits he's a polygamist in that car. But it's also where I think collectively anybody who watched that first episode of Sister Wives said to themselves, I know I did, why in God's name is this man with all of these children and all of these wives driving a sports car, a Lexus around? That is effed up. There's something off about him. Because that's the first thing I thought was no man with, how many kids did he have at the time? 15, 16? I was like, he has all those kids and all those wives. They seem to be really struggling financially. There is no reason for him to have a sports car. He should not have a sports car. That is the most irresponsible thing. I thought that's all I could think about at the time.
Even if you had a decent living and you're doing okay, you still shouldn't have a sports car because the fact that you have a sports car means you have to buy more cars to transport all these people. You know what I'm saying? You should have 3 minivans. Okay.
Yes.
So that you can transport your family in a couple of cars. But remember when they would go anywhere, they always had to take 17 cars because, he could only fit a few people in his car. Janelle had a Toyota Corolla that didn't fit very many people. And I think Christine was the only one who had a minivan. They were just terrible choices. Terrible choices in cars.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes. So what I will say, I agreed with one thing that Kody said that I thought was a little bit of growth, which was this. He said, before in his marriages that he tried to force things to fit. He was trying to force things to fit as opposed to asking himself, is this a fit? And I was like, you know what? Yes, Kody. Finally, I think you're finally getting it. I said, this is the most perspective he's ever had, which is, this is what he was doing in the beginning of his life in plural marriage, which is sort of this idea of, oh, I'm supposed to marry this woman. Okay. Yes. Plural marriage. You come in. Oh, okay. I like you now. You come in, as opposed to, do I love this person? Do I want this person?
Right.
Does this make
Is this a
sense?
good fit?
All of this, all of those things. I was like, okay, look at you, Kody.
Yeah.
There's some growth.
That was a little bit of growth. But before we leave the convertible car thing,
yes,
we have to talk about the fact that, first of all, they're trying to put that car in a trailer that is not a car trailer. I don't know what kind of trailer it is, but it's not like a proper car trailer. And these idiots, well, mostly Kody, I put the blame on Kody, didn't even measure how long it was.
Oh, I know. I did not understand anything they were doing. I didn't know what he was talking about. We're going to put the jack over here and the hook and the ball and the blah, 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 blah. I don't understand any of these things.
They got the trailer hooked up to the truck because I think the truck's being sold too. That got hooked up. But then when it came time for putting the sports car into the trailer, it did not fit. And Kody admitted, he's like, oh, well, I measured the width, but I forgot to measure the length.
Yeah.
And it didn't fit.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
They couldn't use it. And so therefore just wasted.
Yeah. And the trailer, is that yeah. And also, is the trailer, did they rent the trailer? Did they have the trailer? Did anyone?
Who knows where he got it?
If they rented that trailer, that was incredibly stupid to not, I don't know, take a little time to measure the thing before you rent the trailer. And then I was like, if that is Brian's trailer, why would you bring that and not measure that?
Exactly.
It makes no sense. It was just so weird.
A simple measurement. Just a simple measurement. Why? And you measured the width, but not the length. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe that was fake. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't think it was fake. I don't think Kody would intentionally make himself look that stupid.
That's true.
I really don't.
That's true.
I really don't. Because we've seen how Kody organizes himself. We've seen how he approaches problems. We've seen how he does things. He's very disorganized. He's very all over the place. It's a lot of this, this shit. It's a lot of
planning.
This. Yeah. It's really chaotic and all over the place and very little thought. And that he has not grown from at all.
Not like Joe Dogger.
No. We got a DM from somebody about Joe Dogger.
Oh no. Don't tell me.
Just basically saying, just saying that, hey, just want to tell you, I've heard some things about Joe Dogger and, he's not the best and all that.
I know that.
And I just wrote them back and I just said, hey, I've heard those same things. And I said, Brooke just likes him because he's organized and it's like, don't dash your dreams.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I can overlook
she's not going to quit her job and go.
No. Yeah, I'm not going to go become the fourth wife. It's just that, I appreciate a lot of his qualities and I would overlook a lot of things, for that. So,
yes.
Anyway, so I think now we're back on the road.
We're back to Janelle. Yes. So let's see. We learned that. So this is where Janelle says, like, the school year has started and she's real happy not having Kody around. But apparently Kody also hasn't seen Janelle, but he again hasn't seen Savannah.
Yeah.
It sounds like, he hasn't been around
Probably
for Savannah. But she likes not having him around. She likes reading her book at night. She likes cuddling with her dogs. She is a just fine life without Kody at all. And then she goes into this whole thing about how she knew Meri's family. And I'm like, why won't you say, oh, I knew Meri's family? Like, why won't you say you were married to Meri's brother? Like, why won't you say that?
I don't think
why are we all pretending like that? Yeah.
She's never admitted that on camera. And I don't know why. I don't know. Must have been pretty bad situations because she doesn't even want to admit it.
So she's never admitted that. She just quote unquote knew Meri's family. And then we hear about the first time she saw Kody. Apparently she was just smitten. And it sounds like Kody really flirted with Janelle a lot. And then Janelle goes into this whole thing about how I really started to embrace the faith. And I had this testimony about how I should have been in the family. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sorry, this is just like young horniness. I mean, I hate to be crude about it, but it's just like you're all wrapping this around in faith. Like basically, you were in this crappy marriage or you weren't too happy with Ann, or maybe you married for the wrong reasons. You saw Kody, you had this instant attraction to each other.
He was also flirting with her a lot.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah.
Yeah. He's flirting with you a lot. Instant attraction. Even though he's married, there's this opening to like, hey, there's this loophole. We can get married too. And hey, this sounds pretty good. And whoa, he's interested in me. Well, maybe I do like this thing. Maybe this will work for me. Oh my God, God's speaking to me right now. Oh, yes. I'm just like, Janelle, you're too smart for this. Like, please. This is the part that drives me crazy. This quote unquote, these testimonies they keep hearing. I'm like, is it really?
Look, I think that her first husband was a big bore and, probably, was not fun, not sexy, not good in bed, whatever. Because Janelle, she's a sexy girl. You know, she likes to get her freak on.
Yeah,
and
she does.
He was just not doing it for her. And Kody was exciting. He paid a lot of attention to her. He genuinely really liked her.
Yeah, and he still does.
And he still does.
He still likes her. He does. He still wants to be married to her.
He gave her a lot of attention. And remember in the Sister Wives book, they both talked about how, they would just hang out and he would ask her for advice and he thought she was so smart and she helped him get a job, helped Meri get a job. I mean, Janelle was just like a, fabulous, person in their lives. And he was like, yeah, okay. And then she used the religion to justify it. The plural marriage and the testimony and the this and that. She's like, yeah, I want to be part of this. I don't, I wasn't raised like this, but here's this religion that says this is great. And, I'm going to do it, And then her mom went and met Kody's dad and got married to him. So it was like before they even got married. So it was like, there was no shame in the game, It was like, it was all good. And she just kind of told him, I think I'm supposed to be in your family. And then Kody said, okay. Like, all righty then. Like on Sex in the City. When Charlotte tells Trey, she thinks they should get married. And he says, all righty then.
Yeah.
I feel like it was the same scene.
Yeah.
But they said, let's pray about it. Yeah, Janelle said, let's pray about it.
Let's pray about it. Which basically means, and basically means like, if we're still attracted to each other in the morning, we still want this in the morning, we're going to
go through with it.
You know? Yeah. So we learn from Janelle and Christine that a lot of things changed when Robyn came into the family. A lot of things changed. That, they used to have for Thanksgiving, they used to have these magical 4 days of feasting that, they were doing Friday night dinners. They were doing things on Saturdays together as a family. And then suddenly she was this separate entity and Kody was just over there all the time. But Kody disagrees. He says that she enhanced the traditions. I don't know. It's a little bit of this thing of like, yeah, you picked this other person that didn't live, you complicated everything. Everyone lived in the same house. They were all together. Everyone was in one place. And you met and married someone who lived 4 hours away and then moved them into a house that was not in your house. Yeah, it was going to complicate everything. It was going to uproot everyone and everything.
Yeah, he also said in response to this thing about how, she, was a separate entity and Kody was just over there all the time. Kody said that was part of our negotiations. Almost like they consented to, okay, we're going to bring this woman in. She's not going to live in the same house with us. And we're like renegotiating everything. And I think that probably Robyn, all these traditions stopped because, like, let's say Robyn's night fell on a Friday or Saturday when normally everyone would just kind of get together. She was like, no, that's my night. You're going to be here with me and my kids and that type of thing. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what she did. And it was part of this renegotiation that nobody but Kody and Robyn really knew about.
Oh, I interpreted that differently. I thought it was more of that Kody was saying that Robyn understood that these were our traditions and that she needed to adapt to that.
But she didn't, though.
Well,
Christine and Janelle are saying she didn't.
Well, I think that the more sort of holiday traditions, that's what I thought they were referring to. I think that the other things like spending Friday nights together, hanging out all day Saturday, that are like more of just natural. We all live in the same house, so we naturally all do these things that aren't necessarily holiday traditions. They fell by the wayside because, suddenly Kody's not there because he's somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah. I think that the result was the same. It wasn't as flexible.
He just wasn't there. Yeah. Because they complicated everything.
Right.
Well, when we go through this whole thing about how Christine's saying, Kody found a soulmate and it's just that doesn't work in plural marriage. And then this is what I think is very interesting. This is my theory about Robyn. So Janelle says, in plural marriage, the man is supposed to grow and continue to grow. And Kody tried. But then he met Robyn and they were so alike. And she made it so easy for him to be with her, he suddenly didn't have to try anymore. So that once he met Robyn, it was like, oh, everything I'm perfect in her eyes. Right. Everything I do is great. And this is my theory, is I don't think that was by chance. I truly believe that that Robyn made it that way. I think Robyn decided, I am going to be perfect for him. I am going to love all the things that he loves. I'm going to make it so I'm going to be the perfect sister wife for him. I'm going to do all those things. Like, I think she really did figure out how to just orchestrate things for him.
The key to his heart. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And what I think is really interesting, and it's a shame because I don't think the show can keep going because what's so frustrating and annoying about it is how separate they are and how we have to hear one opinion over here and one opinion over here. And you just feel like, get on the same goddamn couch and talk to each other. Let's hear it like in the same moment so we can hear a conversation. So I don't think that it's going to keep going. But what would be really interesting is to see Kody and Robyn 5 years from now, when she does not have sister wives to play off of. When she's just having to be herself, when she's just having to, like, can she continue? Is she just a chameleon and has she just morphed into whomever Kody wants her to be? And can she keep running, rolling along with that person? Or will she sort of start to fall apart? Like, will Kody start to be like, wait a second, hold on, you told me you like this. You told me you like that. I thought you were more like this and like that, because she really did, go in there and highlight everything that she needed to be. And that's why I think that Janelle was so rock solid in who she was as a human being, that was never going to rattle her. But Christine, I think, felt such insecurity in who she was that really rattled her. So she swung in the opposite direction. And that's why like the more Robyn did what Kody wanted, the more, Christine on the other side swung in the opposite direction. And that's what made Kody so upset with her and so angry, and why he kept calling her a bad sister wife. And the more Robyn was good, the more Christine was bad. And that's how this dynamic played out.
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting when you talk about 5 years down the line. I don't know if this is sustainable, because Robyn has already expressed that having to deal with Kody, just her by herself, is too much. She has talked about how it has been really difficult because he's with her all the time and he's a very intense person, and she's had to absorb all of this stuff. And prior to that, yeah, she could have a fun couple days with him, and she could get all her work done so that, when Kody comes over, they just have this fun romantic time. And then he goes off, and then, she has time to like regroup. And okay, but yeah, that she liked that. And so it was easy for her to be the fun wife, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they're together every day, 24/7, and all of his problems and all of his shit is just in her face 24/7. I mean, just look at her. She looks like just so run down, beaten down. She has said that it's a lot, that, she's kind of, I feel like she's probably worried about her marriage with him. And when she says that, this is not what I signed up for. No, it's not what she signed up for. She wanted to have a fun, romantic marriage, like a couple days a week, and then the rest of it, do whatever she wanted to do and have other people support her, which was that was her life for a lot of years. I don't know if she can sustain this, because Kody's intense, and he's angry, and hopefully his anger with all these family members and whatever will calm down over time. But I think the last couple of years for her have been a nightmare. You can just see it on her face.
Well, and also neither of them work. That's the other thing. It would be different if both of them got dressed every day and went to an actual job. At least they would be apart during the day. But they don't work. So they don't have these outside lives, which makes it even harder. And their job is to be on this reality show, and their livelihood is based on this reality show and connected to that. And so, I think that I don't, Christine always talks about how they are soulmates, and I don't know if that's really what's going on here.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what it is. I don't, Kody's very much a narcissist, and in some ways Robyn is too. And I don't think that narcissists can have soulmates. I really don't. I mean, listen, I'm not a narcissist expert, but I just don't think that they can really love on that level, because, we have many soulmates in our lives. We don't just have one, but to really have a soulmate, that requires a certain amount of vulnerability, a certain amount of like deep connection. And when you're, narcissists, nothing gets too deep. It can't get too deep because you don't know yourself well enough. You're not going to do that. You're never going to let people know you on that level. So, and it's a very, what Robyn is, a lot of what Robyn does, it's this very narcissistic thing. It's that whole thing of like, we want them to see our smiling faces so I don't look like the bad guy. It's kind of like, I don't look like this, so I don't look bad. So I'm not, so people don't blame me. Let me coach my daughter so that she says I'm a good person, that kind of thing. She's a little bit of what they call like a covert narcissist. There's a lot of these covert narcissists out there that kind of sneak around in the shadows. So,
yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for those two, honestly. I agree. I don't think they're these quote unquote soulmates, because Christine sees the world in such a fairy tale fantasy kind of way. And I just don't think that's accurate.
Yeah. But anyway, you know what? Now we're in Burley, Idaho, a place I didn't even know that existed. But it looks real nice. looks very pleasant. And clean.
Well, they're visiting Christine's brothers, Levi and Steve. Steve has the same mother as Christine. Levi has a different mom, I guess same father. And, we've never heard about these guys before, never seen them before. I'm not quite sure how much Christine really got to spend time with her family when she was married to Kody. Because I remember her saying early on in an episode, or maybe it wasn't. Anyway, I remember her saying that, there were times when they were so broke that she didn't have the money to go to travel to see her father, to see her family.
Yeah.
And if they live in Idaho, that's a ways away from Utah. So I don't know how much time, she's really gotten to spend with her brothers. They kind of don't seem to know each other that well. Janelle's never even met them, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, and talk about being a bit of a Pollyanna here about polygamy and all of that is how Christine viewed it versus the brothers. The brothers talked about how much tension there was, how difficult it was, how they could cut the tension with a knife, and fighting, and the upstairs mom, the downstairs mom, and how they hated it. They, didn't want to have any part of it.
Yeah.
And Christine's
mom was a basement wife too.
Yeah. And Christine romanticized it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That she romanticized it. She thought it was great. She couldn't wait to be a third wife. That she thought, it was amazing. And even now she was just like, oh, I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I was a teenager and moody. She has no idea what she was thinking. And I was like, yeah, Christine, maybe you weren't looking at this through the right lens, because this is everything else. And I don't know if it got worse because she's so much older. Maybe it got worse and worse and worse because these brothers look like they're in their 30s, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe the other one's like in his late 20s, 30s. But so maybe things got worse and worse and worse. But Christine, it wasn't great.
No.
So
Christine's mom left.
Where were you?
Christine's mom left her dad before Christine even graduated from high school, I think.
Okay. So it was bad. Yeah.
And Christine had a very strained relationship with her mom. And that's why I worry about Christine and her new relationship with David, because she has no relationship experience other than Kody. She is really a Pollyanna. This whole thing about the Disney princesses and the "you're my king" and, dreams do come true, hashtag Prince Charming, all that kind of stuff. That really worries me. You're a 50-year-old woman, Christine.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm the one that said I thought all this was moving too fast. You said, hey, she's 50. Let her have her life.
I'm modifying that. I'm modifying my
because I'm the one
stance.
that said.
I know.
I'm the one that said they needed to be dating at least a year before they get married. And yes, they technically were dating a year before they married, but barely
6 months
married,
got engaged. Yeah.
Yeah, it all happened. I felt like it all happened really fast. Listen, you have your whole lives. You still have another 30 years to live. So you can spend every waking moment together. It doesn't matter if you're married or not. So I did not see what the rush was. And I'm David, for everything that we're seeing, he seems like a nice person. We have not seen anything that has any red flags or anything that's concerning.
But how would we even know? How would we even know?
Yeah, we wouldn't really know. I think someone would come out of the woodwork. I think somebody in some, we've heard things about this Brian guy. We've heard things about random people. You know what I mean? All these ancillary people in the sister wives world, they come out. So I feel like something would have come out by now about him if it was really, really bad. But again, I think it's that same thing of expecting a relationship or expecting this arrangement or relationship or something like that to complete you, to make everything great, to make you happy, to fulfill you in every way, shape, or form. It's like, no, Christine, it doesn't work like that. It's just, trust me, I've been married 20 years. It's married. It's just, it is what it is. It's not, it's not going to fulfill you or change your life in any way. It's a relationship. That's it.
Yeah. I know. I got swept up. Yeah. Now I'm coming, seeing the light. I'm like, oh shit, I'm scared.
Well, so then we hear a little bit more about the beginnings of the relationship with Kody, Christine, Meri, and Janelle when they lived in a 3-bedroom trailer. And we hear about how mobile home, where the walls were tissue paper thin. And we can all infer what that meant.
Yeah, they all said that. So they heard it all. They
heard it all.
They heard it all. Everything.
Oh, how miserable.
God. Oh, and that was the one. That was the one kitchen. That's the origin.
Oh, yes, the one kitchen. One kitchen.
One kitchen. He said, it's abusive. Some of my wives think it's abusive to share a kitchen. That's where that came from. Yeah, and it was a miserable time, and God, I'm surprised they got past that, but they did because I think shortly after that, because Kody and Janelle had a couple periods of separation. I think one of them was after she moved out of that hellhole. No, I think we don't even know the depths of how awful all this was. And surprisingly, Christine's brothers, no polygamy. They've got Levi's wife there. And she's like, no. And it's kind of interesting. Like,
yeah. Well, Janelle then gets into this whole thing about, should polygamy be, legal? Should, what would happen if we allowed it to be legal? Because in theory, right, a man can ghost a wife. And she's right. He can just stop paying support. He can stop paying for the kids and just bail on the family.
No legal obligation.
And really, obviously she's saying all this because of her bind that she's in right now. Christine is saying on her end, she recognizes that the flip side of it is that Christine would not have been able to, right? You would know better than I. Christine would not have been able to be like, okay, well, I'm going to sell you Coyote Pass. I'm taking the proceeds from this house, and I'm taking Truly to Utah. Peace out, Kody, and leave so smoothly if they were legally married. So that's the other flip side of it, is it complicates things. But they were having this debate.
Yeah, she's an exception to the rule. She lucked out, and I think we talked about this a week or two ago. The only reason he had to go off title to that house was so that he and Robyn could get the house, because he couldn't qualify, being on title to that house. She lucked out. She really lucked out. But in general, normally that doesn't work out that way. And like Janelle is fucking screwed. Although, she could, again, she is a title owner of, I don't know, 1 or 2 of those parcels on Coyote Pass.
Meri said 2. She said that Janelle has 2 lots. And
a lot of times the way that these large pieces of land are structured is there's several parcels. Okay, so like they might have paid one price for all these parcels, but there's a certain number of parcels, but the parcels don't necessarily equate to how many lots. Those are 2 different concepts. So anyway, Janelle's on title to a couple of parcels. She could force a sale. She could bring a lawsuit, force a sale of 2 of the parcels and get the proceeds, get her, 1/2, 1/3, whatever she owns of these parcels. But someone would have to be willing to buy them. It's very complicated. It's not that easy. I mean, she does have some legal options, but the reality is it's not the same as being legally married, because if you're legally married, you go to court, whatever your assets are on paper, whatever they're worth. Okay, you get this, you get that. The other person, if you want to buy them out, you got to figure out your own way how you're going to do that. And and Janelle is realizing that, she has an uphill battle here. And so I thought, that was an interesting discussion about the money. And Janelle says she has no idea if she'll get anything. And I think she says Christine actually says one of the reasons Janelle is still with Kody is because she has nothing and she doesn't know if she'll get anything. And so she's not going to just walk away until she can secure something.
I'm wondering, when did Janelle start with Plexus? Because she's obviously doing really, really well. We saw the room that she had on that Plexus cruise. I mean,
right.
So she's obviously making a lot of money on it now. Again, I think that these MLMs are so deceptive about what they show you on the outside and what's really happening on the other side. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that Janelle had to pay a fee to be in that room or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me.
It's not a quote unquote free trip. Remember, I don't know if you saw this on Heather McDonald on Juicy Scoop. She had a woman on there not that long ago. She wrote a book. She was really
about RNF, about skincare.
She was part of a MLM.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it was, but she was saying that those trips and cruises and stuff, they're not free. Basically, what they do is they offer you like some basic package, and you still have to pay something for it, but then they upsell you and they say, oh, well, if you just pay, a little bit more, you can get a better room or you can stay more days or this or that. And it becomes this thing where you kind of get pressured into paying more so you can be part of the whole experience. So Janelle did not go on that trip for free. Okay. She paid something. But
she apparently had enough money to upgrade to a very, very large presidential suite. So, I mean, she's doing a little bit better. So she must be doing some. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. But I don't know. I have no idea. So much of that MLM stuff is just all about image, and you have to project a certain image so that people will want to buy into it.
Yeah,
and
it's such BS.
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I've justice for Janelle. She's get something out of this.
It's true. Oh, before I forget, also someone else DM'd us about, we were talking about poop in a group. You know what that is? Get your shit together.
Okay. Yeah. I thought of that. Get your shit together.
I was like, that makes sense. I was
that's
like,
a nice
thank
way
you.
Yeah. That's a nice way to say
I was like, oh, I can't believe we couldn't figure that out. Get your shit together. Got it. Poop in a group. Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
Thank God for our listeners. They seem to understand what's going on, even though we don't. It's like, oh, poop in a group. That seems so weird. So, yes. All right. Well, I think, are we done? Are we finished? I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Next time on Sister Wives, Meri officially breaks up with Kody and Robyn.
God.
Well, they have the picnic table scene out on Coyote Pass where Robyn sobs and Meri says, well, sorry. This appears to be the end. And you know what? Earlier in the episode, I think it was Christine who said something very ironic. She said, Janelle and I are really the only people who've ever lived plural marriage successfully.
And they're still living it.
They're still living it. They're still together. And so that's the truth.
And here, I keep coming back to this, which is Robyn wants to be in plural marriage. Meri wants to be in this marriage with Robyn and Kody. Robyn wants her to stay. So why doesn't she invite Meri over more? Like, if you want this and she doesn't want to deal with Kody on her own, does she just, is it kind of like is it like, she wants Meri to be around, but it's almost like, I don't want Meri at my house. I would just want
Cody
Kody
doesn't
at
want
her
her there.
house. You think that's why? You think
Yes.
that's why she doesn't get invited over?
No.
Like
Cody
Robyn
does not-
would. It was Kody.
Robyn would. But Cody doesn't like Meri. He doesn't want to invite her over. He doesn't want her at his house. He can barely tolerate speaking to her.
Okay. So Robyn has to keep the peace because that's her role. So she can't possibly say no to him. And okay. All right. That makes more sense. All right. I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Got
my
it.
opinion.
All right. Okay. Yep. The producer Steve's telling me to wrap it up. Okay.
All right. Wrap it up.
All right. So thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you like this podcast and you enjoy it and you haven't already, please go to Apple and give us a 5-star rating and review. We really do appreciate that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast. We are covering on Tuesdays, we cover Sister Wives. And on Thursdays, we are covering lots of different things. This week, we are covering the Wham documentary. Really, really good.
Really good.
I did not think I would like it at all. And I loved it. I've got that goddamn Wake Me Up Before We Go song in my head. That and Freedom and Faith and Careless
All the
Whisper,
hits.
all the hits. And if you're new and you've just discovered us, go back. We have over 100 episodes. We covered lots of things besides Sister Wives, lots of documentaries, and Just Like That, and
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. Can't remember. Lots of different things.
Yeah. Lots of documentaries.
Yeah. And what else? Follow us on social media at PsychLegalPop at Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, and if you enjoy this podcast, please tell a friend or two. Spread the word. We really appreciate it. And I think that's it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me the sunshine, give me a dew. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing mountain dew. So give me my good friends, give me a dew.
Grab some friends and an ice cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.
Looking for a fun night out? K1 Speed puts you behind the wheel for an adrenaline-filled time you and your friends will never forget. Off the track, the fun keeps rolling with arcade games, great food, and drinks. They even have private party rooms for your birthday parties and corporate outings. Race hard, laugh harder, and claim your spot on the podium. K1 Speed. More than racing, it's an experience.